Wiggity, wiggity, what up, y'all? It's What You Spinnin'. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that is Jake the Snake. We're all here in our respective homes. I'm in the newly found Pepper Palace, named after my dog. She'll probably make an appearance at some point when she stops wiping her ass on the carpet. Um, yeah, we've got some great stuff to talk about today. But before we get into that, we like to kind of touch base, see what people have been listening to, anything cool going on. So yeah, anybody got anything that they've been listening to, or it's been a while since
It
we
has been a
potted.
while.
It's been like
Yeah.
a month or so.
Mhm.
So
It's been a long time. I've been listening to a few different things. I'm not gonna give away too much as one of those things is a pick for my pick for the next episode. So just familiar faces. Nothing huge, but yeah,
okay, okay, you
excited.
little
Yeah.
rascal.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Jake, what you got, buddy?
Nice. Really just going back to some old stuff and some new stuff. I've been listening to Bismillah again. Love that album. And I heard finally I had heard like a song or two off of this, but I hadn't fully heard the full album. But Bon Sable Fable that came out earlier last year. Pretty good album. My sister recommended it to me, and I uh, heard it a couple times over, and it's pretty solid. So yeah, shout out, big sis, love ya. And then yeah, just some other old school stuff. Been listening to a lot more hip hop. Also heard a little bit of J. Cole's new album. Thought it was pretty solid.
I
Pretty good
agree.
songs. And then the Larry June Currency and Alchemist album also dropped. So yeah, a little bit of new, a little bit of old, a little bit of everything.
Hell yeah. I haven't heard that Larry June project. I'm about to jot that down. You said it's him, Currency and Alchemist.
Yeah, pretty solid.
Holy
Alk
shit.
beats. Larry June, Currency.
Yeah.
Pretty
Well, I
cool.
love the Larry June. I don't, did Alk produce that one that was Larry June and Two Chains or am I trip? Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that album. So, and I love June and Currency. So I'll have to check that out. I've been kind of all over the place. I do want to start with a little story because it is music related and it's two songs that have been brought up on this podcast. Uh, February 3rd, Friday the 13th in February, finally went out with all my coworkers to Houndstooth Bar for karaoke night for the first time since I've been working at this place for like a year and a half. And guess who blew the fucking roof off the building? This
This guy.
kid. And guess
What'd you
I
sing?
or
What'd you sing?
I started with Fight for Your Right by the Beastie Boys. Hold on.
Oh, what a start.
Yeah.
And then there were like maybe three singers after me, and I did Purple Rain.
Oh wow.
Damn.
And I was doing like for both songs, I was like, y'all know the words, fight for your right.
Fuck. Damn.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was killer. But I've been listening to a bunch of different stuff, nothing too crazy. Been getting super back into woods.
Hmm. Yeah, me too. I went down that trail last week. The familiar Billy Woods Trail.
hmm I saw that Arm& and Hammer did the Loft show. It's like a tiny little like shoebox thing. It's on YouTube. They have a bunch of different artists and stuff,
Yeah.
but they have an Arm& and Hammer one, and I think it's pretty interesting. It's like 20-30 minutes long, but like you could tell Elucid was there just like vibing, and Billy Woods was like trying to rap, but like it was not it. Like,
Uh,
but it was a good watch. It was a good listen.
Thank you. But yeah, I was diving down like the Thinkin' Rap playlist that I have. I added some stuff to it and been listening to that. Um, Outside of that, just been kind of all over the place. Nothing too remarkable. I did listen to some of that J. Cole album as well. Pretty decent. But yeah, I don't have anything too crazy. I don't. I really don't. So with that, shall we dive in?
Well, let's jump head first.
Yeah.
Eyes closed,
Let's go
backward.
ahead. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to do a backhand spring right into the pool of this episode. It's What You Spin in episode 106. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. We'll be right back with you to dive into today's content. We're starting off with Matt's, and you guys are going to want to hear it. Stick around. I'll tell you what's truly hot off the press.
Oh,
This episode 106 of What You Spinnin'. We're starting off with my main man Matt's pick, but outside of that, I'm Dorian and that's Jake. We're here to talk about three great albums. Some, actually, all of these are 20 years old plus, so pretty sick. Matt, what you got for us, baby boy?
traveling back to the early 90s, little grunge era album, an album that's probably not, well, I guess there's a few bangers on here, but one of the more overlooked albums from these guys, that's Pearl Jam's album from 1993 called Versus, their second album after the phenomenal release of 10. How do you follow up that album? You do this. Cool, they have Brendan O'Brien behind this. They introduced a new drummer as well, a lot of changes. And then, how do you follow up an album like 10 where it's start to finish every album, every song on that album is really good. So this album's a little bit different. I feel like it's a little bit more aggressive, more aggressive than 10 was. The first few songs just come right out of the gate and just kind of gets you into a different mindset, kind of shifts the mood a little bit. And Eddie Vedder's vocals is a little bit more abrasive. He's a little bit louder. The songs that kind of stand out for that would be Blood, where he's kind of screaming and belching and like it just, giving it as everything and his all. So it's cool to see Eddie Vedder kind of step outside of that and see that he can do other things besides be the slow singer and the meme that we always make fun of. I feel like this album kind of showcases a lot of that, and the guitar work as well is really good on this album by both guitarists. Again, the new drummer comes in and does a great, outstanding job. I feel like this album showcases a lot of percussion. You can hear that stands out really well. But it's one of my favorite Pearl Jam albums, probably my top three. Hope you guys liked it. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, man. You kind of, I mean, we could just stop right there, to be
We just
quite
stop.
honest
We're
with you.
done.
But
It's
that's
over.
not, but that's not how we run things around here.
No.
Um, No, man, it is truly like how do you follow up with 10 and then you drop an album like Versus and it's what like how many years? It's like 2 years, 3
Yeah.
years after, yeah, two
Yeah.
years
Years.
after that.
Mm.
And like now I really want to bring up 10 on the podcast so that way we can talk about the contrast between these two albums because they're so fucking different.
Mm.
Like they put out 10 and it's a staple of the grunge community and then they put out Verses and it's like yeah we immediately grew out of that. This isn't a grunge album in my opinion. It really isn't. Like there's some aspects of it, but you get such big, like you were saying, he's just belting on some of these tracks like Dissident and WMA has insane percussion on it and it like really it was jarring to me. Like I was sitting down and taking my notes today and I was like and listening to I would listen to a couple tracks off of this, go listen to a couple tracks off of 10. And I was like you almost if Eddie Vedder wasn't the singer for this for this group and he wasn't the most recognizable person in it, you could almost convince me that they're two different bands because Versus is such a stark contrast from 10 and I think that really speaks to the musicianship and like you read up on this album and they say or I don't know if it was Stone Gossard or Eddie Vedder himself that was saying like yeah no Versus was the album that we wanted to make when we made 10 and I'm like that's bullshit. I'm like there's no way. I was like cuz they sound so different. There's no way that you were trying to make this while you made that like you know what I mean like I'm sure obviously artistry is artistry but I'm like I don't know. Like it's just they're just so different. But shout out to them for releasing an album that kind of transcended the genre that they were immediately pigeonholed into and kind of like we say it all the time. I say it all the time, at least. Like it came out in 93. Sounds like it could have came out in, the early 2000s, like with my pick, like 2000. It sounds like an album that could have come out in 2006. So shout out to them. Very, very big fan of this pick. Like you said, it's an overlooked album. I'm one of those people that overlooked it. I thought Daughter was a banger and took that and ran. And my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, Daughter is that track on this album that you instantly recognize for the lyrics, for his voice. It that sounds like Pearl Jam. And I was expecting something like similar to 10 because that's all I've heard. I mean, even Flow, everyone's heard that song. Everyone knows that song. But this album is it feels a lot less like polished, a lot less like a lot more raw in a good way. It works for it. And I think that's what they were going for, is wanting to not sound super, technical and super, well balanced and polished. This just sounds a lot more raw and a lot more just natural for what the sound is. And yeah, like you guys said, the vocals on it and the lyrical content of it, I really enjoyed. Songs like Rear View Mirrored, Elderly Woman Behind the Counter, those songs really stood out for me, and primarily just because the lyrical content it's I kind of related to a lot, and they have a lot of mix of stronger, heavier songs, and then acoustic songs like that song Elderly Woman, like songs like Hold On, I believe that's also a an acoustic track. So it's they have a little bit of everything going on this album. But yeah, I had never actually heard this album start to finish. So thanks for bringing it up because now I do. Now I can say I definitely have a couple more songs that I can name off of this album than than just one. But yeah, solid album.
Hell yeah, man. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, they have other albums, you know. They do have other good ones. There's so many in their catalog too. I'm kind of going through that discography as we review these albums. I didn't realize how many they have. And everyone's a little bit different, but this one's definitely stands out for that time period. The song structure throughout the whole album is very unique. Songs like what Glorify G is kind of poppy in a sense, and it's also talking about gun violence and kind of poking fun at it. Not poking fun, but like making a statement about it. The song is kind of cheesy, but it kind of has a good ring to it at times. And I like the lyrical content, like you were saying, Jake. It goes all over the place from, like abusive relationships, the white male America. WMA is one of my favorite songs lyrically. It's a really cool song. And just Eddie Vedder, I think he was under a lot of pressure, trying to follow up. I'm sure all the guys in the band were, but especially Eddie. And I'm just glad he was able to, get in there and do his thing. And I don't think there's anything really wrong with this album. I think there's a lot of standout tracks. There's a few things that stand out for me. And like I said in the beginning, the percussion really stands out. The guitar playing between both guitars is great. And then Eddie Vedder doing his thing once again. So good album.
Absolutely. And it is like such a good album that I've been kicking myself because, back in the iTunes days, I bought Daughter off of iTunes with like a gift card I got for Christmas. And, that was kind of when I was fucking what, 12, 13. I wasn't really diving into albums. I was a little bit, like Master of Puppets and Peace Sells by Megadeth, like, and I'm like, man, I should have dove into this because it came out right after, like just chronologically. And yeah, it is, like Glorified G is kind of poppy, but it's a fucking banger. And it's like one of those Pearl Jam songs that you've heard on the radio sparingly, honestly. But outside of Daughter, it's the other song that I recognized on this. And like you said, WMA, like it's crazy what changing drummers will do. Like we saw Primus with a different drummer, and that was, very cool to see. And you get a track on this album like WMA, and there isn't an album or there isn't a song like that really on 10 that is so fucking tom beat and yeah, that's like I was listening to that song driving around last night running some errands, and I was like, man, this is like the closest that Eddie Vedder has ever come to, at least in my like, because I haven't listened. Like you said, they have a very intensive discography. I have, or extensive. I haven't listened to the whole thing at all, but I'm like, oh, this is out of my small sample size, this is the closest that he's gotten to sounding like Mike Patton. I was like, this is his, like, because I have a playlist that has Ugly in the Morning in it, and I listened to that earlier in the day, and then I heard WMA on this little drive, and I was like, oh fuck. I was like, this is like as good. I was like, this is almost a Mike Patton song for Eddie Vedder. So, and then like you said, the guitar playing, like there's guitar solos on this album.
Mm.
And you're like, wait, what the
Mhm.
fuck? Like, and that's another, hey, chalk that up as another reason why they completely blasted themselves out of the grunge genre with
Mhm.
this album. Guitar solos weren't a thing.
Right.
Guitar solos were just playing the notes on a guitar that the chorus were, you know? Like, shout out Smells Like Teen Spirit, first song I ever learned. Um, but that just shows the huge leap. But then if you were to actually, yeah, anyway, I could go on and on and on. But yeah, fantastic album. I think lyrically it's fantastic, vocally it's incredible. But you got to listen to like the musicianship that's actually going on. And I don't think people would realize like how crazy it is unless they listen to 10, which is why I'm like, we got to bring it. I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, I think it'll be good uh to get like what the band wanted to do, what they wanted the outcome with this album, and then the contrast with 10, because they are very different albums. And we've all heard, 10, that album, songs off of that album, but this one is definitely unique. And I think that was the right move, Matt. Good job bringing this up because definitely it broadens the spectrum of, hey, we're not just a one album band. We have multiple, we have a bunch of different sounds, a bunch of different, styles that we go through. So songs like Go fucking kick ass for
Mhm.
the start of an album. That song fucking rules. When I was listening to that song, it started the album off perfectly, and then that into Animal, I really liked. And then yeah, like you guys said, songs like Blood, like the vocals on that are so good. And yeah, I liked it, just the journey that it takes you. It's, goes up and down with the energy levels. Some songs are quicker, some songs are slower. But for the most part, it's a really solid listen. So I'll definitely have to check out a bunch of their other songs on their other discographies. I know we brought up No Code, that we listened to that album. That one was really good too. But yeah, it's Pearl Jam is definitely one of those bands that when I think about them, I think of 10, but now definitely this opens my eyes to a lot more of their music.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, one of my favorite bands as far as that genre goes. I remember being in high school and just, listening to this album and 10 and Vitology and like their first five albums are all just solid, whether it's like 10 versus Vitology, Yield, No Code. Like
Yeah.
it's
They
pretty
had
amazing if you think about it to have a string of albums that good that have
mhm,
standout tracks that are on the radio every time.
yeah.
And then to just keep doing their thing and they're still touring now, man.
They had the most impressive 5 album run since Metallica did Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning Master, and Justice and Black album. Like legitimately. And they did it right at the same time. Like as soon as Black album came out, they're like, all right, here's 10 versus Vitology, blah blah blah. It's crazy
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it actually is. Like truthfully, the like I said, small sample size, but I've heard tracks off of all those albums and I'm like, my God, dude.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, very fucking impressive. Like I said, but again, like when I bought Daughter off of iTunes, my brain wasn't ready for any of this. I wouldn't have appreciated this as much as I do at fucking 29. Are you kidding me? But yeah, I greatly appreciate you bringing up this album. I'm so glad that you beat me to the punch on bringing up another PJ pick. Um, yeah, man. Definitely gonna have to look for this one.
Heck yeah. Well, you guys
Shall
want
we?
to dive into the top threes? Let's do it.
Shall we? Let's do
Lots
it,
of good
baby.
track, lots of good tracks on this album. For me, if I had to sum it up, which I will, we'll start with my honorable mention. That would be Blood, just based on Eddie Vedder screaming, and there's not many Pearl Jam tracks that sound like that. And
Mm-mm.
the third would be Leash. I like that song. We didn't really talk about that one. I like the lyrics in that.
Hmm.
Just kind of a fuck you song, really cool lyrically. Number two, WMA. lyrically, and just the whole flow of that song is really cool. And then my favorite track was Dissident, lyrically, and just it's just a powerful, just the guitar, the way that track starts off is just so powerful. So there you go.
Right on. There's enough tracks on this album that I did too. And there's a lot going on in it. First honorable mention is Blood. I mean, just screaming his ass off on that song, which is crazy. Really showed his range. You know, if I didn't already love Eddie Vedder as a vocalist enough, I had to hear that song. Okay, fucking cool, I guess. Second honorable mention for me is Daughter. Just, you know, showed or talked already about how I have a lot of appreciation for that song. If you want to look into something crazy, the tuning for that song on guitar is actually fucking wonky. Like it's not, I think it's very specific to that song. Um, I could be completely wrong. I haven't looked at it in fucking 16 years. But anyway, that's what I remember. Three is Rats, another kind of like grimy Pearl Jam song, you know, probably one of the, you couldn't even say that it's close to grunge, but it's like very close to like alternative on that track. Number two for me, Dissident. Just love that chorus. A dissident is here. Fucking beautiful. And then number one, I gave it a lot of love. Matt did too. WMA, man. Just that and the policeman. Great text you sent, by the way, Matt. I did not give that enough credit in the moment because I was busy, but you did quote that song, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. That's my favorite. Yeah, WMA.
Nice. Yeah, solid album. Definitely a fan. Honorable mention for me. Hmm. There's a lot. Honorable mention, I'm going with Hold On, like that song. Number three was Rearview Mirror, Two Elderly Woman, and then Go. I think that song starts the album off perfectly for what it is.
Beautiful
It
start to
has
the
an ex
album.
it
Mhm.
has an expectation, and then, it just goes all over the place. So, yeah, Go is my favorite track.
Fuck yes. Go is a fantastic album opener. You know, one of the best I'd say that we've covered recently. And that track opened up the beautiful album of Verses by Pearl Jam, released in 1993, which was Matt's pick for this week. Go ahead and give it a listen, by golly, and also do what I did. Listen to a couple tracks off of this, listen to a couple tracks off of 10, and close your eyes and try to tell me they're the same band without Eddie Vedder's vocals. But anyway, that was the first pick to start off this beautiful episode 106 of What You Spinnin'. I'm Dorian. That's Matt, whose pick we just talked about, and that's Jake. We'll be right back in two shakes of a lamb's ass to talk about my pick for this week. It's What You Spinnin'. Stick around. Uh, what's up, y'all? It's What You Spin in episode 106. That is the beautiful Jake. That's the magnificent Matt. And I am the dashing Dorian. Ooh, he hit me with the ooh, with the beanie on. Oh man, Jake's feeling himself. We gotta watch out. I can't wait for him to talk about his album. He's apparently got a beast that's riled up in him. But in the meantime, we're gonna bring up my pick. And this is what I called a guilty pleasure album. You know, kind of in the vein of like an Under Oath, Thrice, a Kyotos, you know, one of those. I don't expect everybody to be like, oh my God, this is one of the best albums of all time. But it came out in one of my favorite spans of music in the past, you know, 20 years. It's 2006's, I don't know which album of theirs it is off the top of my head, but it's Phobia by Breaking Benjamin. I think it's is it their second?
Might be.
Might be their second album. And by golly, let me tell you, this is one I talked a lot about my younger self as a music fan. This is another one of those albums. Like, I fucking loved this album. I actually think I have a burned copy from when I was 13 in my car that my dad burned me. But yeah, Phobia, Breaking Benjamin, 2006, great album. Got a lot to say about it. But what did y'all think?
Third album. So now that we've got that squared away. I'd never listened to any of their music, and I've heard the band name before in my past and just never just never done it. So thanks for bringing it up. It's cool to hear them. Definitely a rock band, definitely more that, you know, rock heavy ballad kind of style, which I appreciate because they had some good songwriting, good guitar playing, good musicianship all throughout the whole album. I feel like there's some songs that are a little lighter and then some really heavier ones. And I think there's a lot of catchy lyrics that they throw in there too. So I'm glad you brought them up because I've always kind of been like, what does this band sound like? You know, and I've never actually pushed play. So it was a fun album for me from start to finish.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Breaking Benjamin, definitely heard of them before. Um, First time I would say probably playing Halo 2.
I was about to
Um,
say that was
yeah.
another fun. I was like, yep, they literally are so good that they got asked to do the Halo 2 sound, some of the Halo 2
Yeah.
soundtrack.
Yep. Yeah. Iconic, legendary. Yeah, heard of them from there, heard of them from some a song off of Dear Agony before. So they've been around. They've definitely been around and haven't heard a full album. Sat down and heard a full album. So this is the first for this band. Pretty good. I liked it. Definitely took me a little bit. Gave me a couple listens to start getting the groove of it. It's all kind of for the most part, all the lyrics and songs they have kind of the same theme. Talk about hardships, breakups, stuff like that, and I kind of really resonated with that. And songs like let's see, what song is that? Like Here We Are, really like that song. Songs like You really also
That's a good one.
was really resonating with me. So yeah, for from start to finish, it was a pretty solid album, and it was kind of fun going back to an artist that yes, I've heard of, but I don't actually know of per se. So yeah, good listen.
Hell yeah. No, it is kind of interesting. You have a memory tied to like a video game like Halo, and you're like, oh, Breaking Benjamin's rad, and then you hear what they do outside of that, and you're like, holy shit, these guys are actually kind of kick ass.
Mhm.
Um, and it is kind of this is another one of those albums that like I listened to so much growing up, and then I listen to nowadays, and you know, 100 episodes plus into a podcast about music, X amount of years into playing music and studying it. Um, and like you said, Matt, the musicianship on this, like you take like the lyrics, like you said, Jake, like they are kind of all about the same thing, more or less, just in a different mood or way of expressing it. But my God, like the one thing I want to point out is the drumming on this album is fucking ridiculous. Like honestly, like there's random part, and I'm like, dude, this is a song about a breakup, and this guy's probably 28, or whatever. Like this guy's early 30, like, and this guy's just like just going fucking ballistic. Um, and yeah, you get songs like I had my former roommate Devin shout out. Literally the week I brought this up, he was like, "Oh, mentioned something. We were playing games and like talking about making an edit of us doing a certain thing." And he's like, "Yeah, you just have like, I don't know, Diarrhea Jane playing." And I was like, "That's fucking ridiculous. I fucking just," I was like, "That's my pick for the podcast in 3 weeks." But yeah, like hearing these songs at as young as I was like, oh yeah, 13, 14-year-old breakups. I'm like, oh, put me to sleep, evil angel. And then I hear these, as a fucking almost 30-year-old guy, kind of going through, a more brutal version of that. And, Jake, you kind of alluded to it, but when you sent me that text, I was like, hey, Phobia is a great album to have on the docket for for your current situation, as fucking base level as it is. Like this is a very entry level album. Like you don't need to have a vast amount of music knowledge or whatever to appreciate this. But yeah, the musicianship is crazy. I do love the lyricism as, kind of it's consistent, like what you're kind of getting into. If you listen to this album once, you're like, okay, it's kind of a breakup album. Like, there's some other stuff, Unknown Soldier, whatever. But yeah, man, I obviously love this album. This is one I've been kind of sitting on for a minute, and then the past like 2 months, I've been like spinning, listening to it so much that I was like, I can't not bring this up. It's just all that's been populating my life. So I'm glad that you guys got some form of appreciation out of it because I sure as hell love it.
Yeah, I liked it for mainly for the music, honestly. I mean, once I got past the lyricism and like his, not that his vocal's bad, but it's just not something that I gravitate towards too much. But the drumming and the guitar work, like the drumming on, like you said, Diary of Jane is really good. And just it stands out for me. And I think to do that and have good songwriting behind it, whether or not you like the vocal or not, makes for a good song. So these guys did a good job with this album. It is a little bit more of a somber album, but at the same time, it resonates with people in different ways, and I enjoyed it. I found some positive notes in it, and found a couple songs that I like that are going to be in my rotation for a little bit. So good pick. I like this album.
It flows really well too.
Oh
Like
yeah.
every song kind of goes into each other, and the outro, the last song, ties back into the intro, the first song. I love when albums do that. They'll end with the beginning, and the beginning is also the end. So it's like this, like,
Where they kind of
perfect.
fold, they like fold in on each other kind of.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it makes the album that much more repeatable. It makes it that much more that you could just listen to it and at any point, start at middle of the album, start at the end of the album, it always wraps back into itself. So I like that about it. I like also just the lyrical content is really what stuck out to me a whole lot more. His vocal, yeah, sometimes at times it's sometimes it's a lot more heavier, sometimes it's a lot lighter. I prefer more his lighter tone when he's singing, but uh, the musicianship, everything about it is pretty solid. And it's definitely a good album to listen to. I haven't heard any of Breaking Benjamin's other albums, but this one for sure, it's a pretty solid one.
If you want an album that kind of fits this theme, I know you mentioned Dear Agony. That's a good album. I got super into that when I was in middle school because that's when it came out. But the one before this is very close to this type of vibe. We Are Not Alone has their other biggest
Mhm.
song on it called So Cold. Great album. Just a couple little tidbits here. Breath off of this album was one of the first songs I learned in drop C tuning back on my little fucking shitty Les Paul copy. I was shredding in my room, dude, let me tell you. So that's awesome. And actually, I think, oh, you guys were talking about his vocal, and I'm not offended, but I love his vocal personally, and I think like his vocal overall is pretty cool to me. But I think it's very impressive. I don't think he does it this much, like that much more nowadays. Certainly not on Dear Agony or albums after this that I've heard. But his ability to go from these like why give up like those big things to the screen like his like it's actually kind of impressive, and I do love like how he doesn't try to do like a full verse as like a rah, rah, rah. He just does like these one notes, and it's like, to put a word on it, it's like tasteful screams that he'll throw in there, little sprinkles, little bits, and I love the fuck out of that personally. But without further ado, shall we top thrizzle it up?
Let's do it.
Add a baby. All right. Well, honorable mention for me, like I mentioned just now, Breath, fantastic song. I think the chorus lyrics are actually pretty impressive as well. You left a hole where my heart should be. That blew my head off of my 13-year-old shoulders. Number three for me is Unknown Soldier. Loved that song here recently. That was one that kind of snuck in. Number two for me is Evil Angel, has always been kind of a favorite for me. And then number one for me was one that I was just playing the shit out of. Might have ruined my Spotify algorithm for Wrapped next year with this one. Uh, but here we are. Just that breakdown into like that bridge verse where he's like, so why are you the one that walks away? Pick the pieces up. Why are you so eager to betray? Like, melted me, just eviscerated me about a month ago. So yeah, here we are, my favorite track off of this.
That's a good one. For me, honorable mention was outro. One, it's an instrumental, and I'm a sucker for them. And two, I just like the concept of looping the album back into itself. And it always, throughout the album, it has this like sample or snippet or whatever of like a plane flying, which is I guess the one of the band members' phobia is like planes, so that's what the album is named off of, which is pretty interesting. Number three for me, You Fight Me. Number two, Evil Angel, and then my favorite track was You.
Nice. Kind of
Hell
a
yeah.
similar tone to your picks there, Jake. My favorite or my honorable mention was outro as well, just like the way that kind of flowed without or through the album at the end there. And then 3, 2, 1, I liked Until the End, good standout track. Unknown Soldier, and then I like Topless. That was my favorite track. Kind of slowed it down a little bit with his vocal and learned to appreciate it a little bit more. Not that I didn't before, but yeah, I did like his vocal. It was good.
Hell yeah. I was not saying that you guys were evil people for saying you don't like his vocal. I can understand it's polarizing. I was just saying, hey, I like it, but I also the main thing I appreciate is this.
Mhm.
Don't think I'm attacking y'all.
No,
I
not at
love y'all dearly. But anyway, all that aside, that was 2006's which hey, we're about to talk about another great album in this span of time that I consider to be one of the hot spots of music releases in our collective lifetime. That was Phobia by Breaking Benjamin, their third album. Go ahead and give it a listen. It's not for everybody. It is kind of a guilty pleasure album. It is divorced white man gym music, if you want to put a meme genre on it. But other than that, it's alternative. My uncle, who's a drummer in bands in California, or used to be, I didn't know what alternative music was, and I had heard U2 described as alternative, and he said, "Yeah, we play alternative." I said, "Oh, so U2?" He's like, "No, more like Breaking Benjamin." And I said, "Actually, that's perfect." So more of an alternative album, but anyway, that was my pick for this beautiful episode 106 of What You Spinnin'. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. And guess what? Jake's about to talk about his album coming in
all.
two shakes of a lamb's tail. Go ahead and stick around for me, baby. I mean, let's just get fucking on with it. We've been waiting to talk about an absolute classic, and I think it's about damn time that we do so. It's What You Spin in episode 106. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. And guess what? It's Jake's turn to tell us what he's bringing to the table today and for us to talk about it. So why don't you hit me with it, brother?
My turn. Yes. Yeah, the last album was Dorian's Guilty Pleasure. This one's mine. Came out in 2004. MF Doom. Food. Uh, what it looks like. It's a gatefold. It's pretty cool. The artwork is pretty interesting. That's why I like physical media. You kind of just can look into stuff and stare at it through a microscope and see all the hidden features on it. Like there's the thing in a lot of these pictures. He's in the cereal. And yeah, this album is just a fun album. It's a concept album. It's titled Food because it all it talks about is food. All the songs they have some sort of reference to food, either cooking or dishes. A lot of the lyrics, the raps, the lyrical content, it's also revolved around food. Double entendres, triple meanings, a whole bunch of cool lyrical jargon going on. Mainly produced by Metal Fingers himself. And that's why I like it so much, this album, because it really shows a lot of his production, a lot of the style that he has, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of comic books and some cool music, cool samples. So, yeah, what do you guys think about it?
I will
It
say I
it
was.
tr
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
no, you.
Oh, no, no. Okay, I'll go. No, I'll go. Um, I will say before I joined the podcast, I'd never listened to any MF Doom, and I'm so glad that I became a part of the podcast because you guys introduced me to him. But this came out in 2004. I'm surprised based on like some of the hip hop I was listening to, like Saul Williams, that I never did come across Doom. But this is my favorite Doom album after listening to it for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, this is like it's so like right away you're just hooked. Right away, you're just like, yep, the sampling, the jazziness, the like you said, the lyrical content bouncing back and forth from what he's talking about and relating it to food. And it's just doing his thing with the catchy like one-liners and just like I keep repeating them back and forth in my head as I'm going throughout my day. And this album is just so good. I love the artwork that you showed on that album cover. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty amazing. I like that. Adds more to the album. It's very deep and one of my favorite ones, like I just said.
Nice.
Fuck yes.
I got him. I got him, Dorian.
We got it. We got him on the hooks. This is my second favorite Doom album. I'm just such a Operation Doomsday truther. But by God, is it a hard decision to make between the two of these? Yeah, the let's just dive into it, man. The sampling on this is fucking crazy. Hoe Cakes, the Supa, that's Supersonic by JJ Fad. When I was
Mm.
working at Journeys, managing that store and slinging shoes, we would listen to these DVDs, and that JJ Fad track was on one of these DVDs, and I would always play it. And it was right as I was getting, falling ass over tea kettle into the rabbit hole that is MF Doom and Stone's Throw and all of this. So, but yeah, I also, like I said, I love this album, mainly produced by Doom. The Special Herbs album that I have, it is a lot of tracks from this as instrumentals. And then I have a quote unquote chill beats playlist. That's what it's titled, on Spotify. And it has a lot of the instrumentals for songs off of this, like uh fucking the Vomit Spit. What's the other one that I really really like? Potholders. That instrumental is just out
Mm.
of this world. But then, like you guys said, the lyrical content to this, like, we talked about BC Boys at the beginning of the episode because I did karaoke to them. But we talked about that album from 1986 with, Paul Revere, and how it just tells a story about like a party and everything, and one beer is the MF Doom version of that, and it just paint like Doom ever, like, he very rarely would paint such a beautiful story that you could kind of follow along. Like, he, would be kind of wrapping entendres and innuendos and puns in on themselves. So to get a track like One Beer, where he's painting a story that you're like, there's only one beer left, like, talking about some dude running off and snatching the rest, this, that, and the other. And then also within that, that's the only track on this that's produced by Madlib. And guess what else came out in 2004? Fucking Mad Villainy. It was supposed to be on Mad Villainy. And this artist, MF Doom in particular, is one of the main reasons why I think 2004 is such a fucking stupid strong year for music, because he put out, let's just break it down. He put out Food, Vaudevillain, or Vaudeville Villain by Victor Vaughn, and Mad
Yep.
Villainy. Three of the best, like, legitimately, we've talked about all three of them at this point on the podcast.
Wow.
Three of the
That's
best
amazing.
fucking albums that have ever been released in rap music in the last 20, probably 30 years, actually. And they all came from one dude in the same year. He
That's
could have
insane.
never he could have never released anything else, and I would still be as big of a Doom fan as I am right now. Like, that's fucking crazy, man.
Mhm.
And yeah, like, everybody, like, Food was Mac Miller's favorite rap album. It's again why he's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. But anyway, I feel like I'm starting to ramble, so I'll go ahead and put a sock in it. But goddamn, man.
Yeah, it's easy to do that, Dorian. Like, listening to this album for so long, so many years, you really appreciate over time, like, the storytelling, the wordplay that comes with it. And then now that I'm listening to more and more music, I'm like, oh, I know that sample. I caught that. Songs, like One Beer, that's a Cortex sample that we brought
Yes,
up. Like
yes,
Yup.
it is. That's where it sounds familiar.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Ah, I'm
It's like,
listening to it right now. It's in my
yeah.
pocket. That's why I'm
It
like, I know this.
it's like mind blowing. It's like holy shit. Like it all like ties together. It all comes together and it's just so cool that, they were doing this so long ago and yeah, it's definitely a staple and for me it's my favorite because it's just so fun. It's, songs like Mad albums like Mad Villainy, that's a very like serious, very polished, very perfect album. And then this one, it's just like, let's just talk about food. Let's talk about gumbo. Let's talk about all the beer is gone. Let's talk about hoe cakes, beef wrap, like, which is like a rap between, or beef between rappers and stuff. So it's like, so a lot of this that's going on is just like, super interesting, super fun that this was the concept, this was the idea, and it's delivered perfectly. And it's really only just Doom. There's really not a whole lot of features on here. Just Count Basie, which Potholders is one of my favorite songs. I love that song.
Same.
Um, and then, Mr. Fantastic, but not a whole lot of features, not a whole lot of stuff going on. It's just, one guy kind of sharing his work, doing for the love of the game. But yeah, solid album.
Yeah, I really like Mr. Fantastic, man. That was my other point I wanted to bring up. He just stood out lyrically. He kind of reminded me of Bruiser Wolf a little bit, and he just got that kind of mellow, laid back flow. And every time he'd come on, I'd be like, yeah, good addition to that album. I like that.
And Jake, as you probably know, I have an overhead project. No, I'm kidding. One of the other like crazy Doom fan theories or like conspiracies is trying to figure out who the fuck Mr. Fantastic is
Yeah,
Oh,
because Doom, like it's been on Reddit forever, but people in that are huge Doom heads love Mr. Fantastic his features, and he's just like a feature artist, it seems like. And everybody's like, why won't he, like, who is this guy? Is he an alias? There's like stuff from Doomsday that also like people are like, who the fuck? Blah blah blah. But yeah, Mr. Fantastic is like he's like an enigma. He's like the Bigfoot of
yeah.
underground rap. Like he's beloved
wow.
for his features with Doom, but no one knows who the fuck he is. Um, and yeah, man, like I'm looking at my notes and everything is just food related. And as a bigger fella, you just gotta love that. Um, um, but yeah, man, it's like it's just insane to me, because this is an artist that we've covered extensively. And, we've only really covered his career up until this point, up until 2004. But if you look at the albums that he released after this, Born Like This,
Fantastic
Keys
album.
Keys to the Cuffs with Gennaro Jarrell, Neruvian Doom, the first Czarface album. Like, holy fuck, man. Like this, even VV2 has some decent songs on it. It's nowhere, in my opinion, it's not as good as Vaudeville Villain, but VV2 has like some good tracks on it. And it's just he was like the last artist that died that I cried about. Like I actually like I sat there and listened to all of Operation Doomsday that night, and like I didn't sob, but I shed a couple tears, man, because it's like he was as underground gets. Um but he would release something like this, and like, I'll just go ahead. I feel like we've been dodging the topic, but rap snitch niches is all over social media. It's all over guitar TikTok. It's all over fucking everything. And I'm like, you guys don't even understand the iceberg that you have found the absolute penis tip of. Like, you can't even begin to fathom that this is literally the entry level of literally the Empire State Building of an incredible discography. So with that, shout out MF Doom, shout out Food. It's just this is I feel I will wrap it up after this, I promise. This I feel like so let's just compare them. Operation Doomsday and M Food. I feel like Operation Doomsday is an easier album to get people into because it is not laden with like half of like a lot of these songs, half of them are just comic book show samples, like from the Fantastic Four cartoon, which was this whole shtick. But if you can convince somebody to be like, hey, look past that and listen to this album outside of the weird samples and whatever that go on, this is a no-brainer gateway. But if you want to not have that problem, you just throw them Operation Doomsday. Um, but regardless, to have two albums in your discography very early on that you can do that with is, hey, round of applause for me. But yeah, fucking like I said, shout out Doom, shout out Food, man. Great pick. Sorry to talk so
Yeah.
long.
I
No, it's
mean,
good.
dude, not even talking about his other stuff, like King Ghidorah, that whole project is insane also. Take Me to Your Leader, that album is nuts.
I'm
Um,
surprised that you brought this up because I know how much you love Take Me to Your Leader. When you brought
mhm.
this up, I was like, because I honestly was like, if I was like, I'm either going to bring up Food or Jake's going to bring up Take Me to Your Leader. I did not anticipate you bringing this up. So,
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, there's so much. A lot of Doom's early work is, in my opinion, some of his best work. Either that be just because it felt so much more fresh, so much more abstract for early 2000s hip hop, because it's not at all gangster rap. It's not at all, mumble rap or anything like that. It's real kind of lyrical, sought out stuff. And it's really intricate. There's a lot of wordplay that's going on here. And this album just shows it off perfectly. So, yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. I'm glad, Matt, it's your favorite. Dorian, I know you love this album. I love this album, so I'm glad we were able to come together and give it the good listen and review it on the pod. Top threes, if I am ready, you guys. Let's do it. Okay. So for me, honorable mention, Deep Fried Friends. We didn't really talk about that song, but that sample is iconic. Everybody knows
before we
that.
go any further,
That's
Friend
right.
you can
friends.
depend on.
That's right. That's right. Number three for me, number three, Cookies. I like that song a lot. Kind of finishes up the album pretty good. Number two, One Beer. Anytime I get a six pack and there's one beer left, I always say there's only one beer left. Um, it's just part of me now. And my favorite track, Potholders. Love that song. Love the beat. Love Count Basti. They're both trading bars back and forth like it's a cipher. Yeah, solid track.
Hell yeah. I'll piggyback off that. I did again, just because of how much I love this album. It was almost criminal for me to only have one honorable mention and top threes. So I did two honorable mentions. Number one being One Beer, just, the continuity. Jake, shout out to you for both bringing up the Cortex album that this was sampled off of and then being the one to bring this up. I think that's rare for us. Like one of us will be like, "Ha, you brought up the album that was sampled on. I'm going to be the dickhead and bring up the album that sampled it." Um, so shout out to that. But then also, I gave a lot of love to this song, "Hoe Cakes." I don't like that Supa with the synth stabs. It's just so fucking good, and it's the second song on the album. It's like you
Mm.
said, Matt. Like immediately, this album is just like, and gotcha, bitch. It's like a peregrine falcon just hooking you. And the number three for me, speaking of beef rap, um, it's I'm obviously a huge Doom head, so I don't give a fuck about the comic book samples. I'll just let albums eat. Like I think they're part of the allure and the draw for these albums. But Beef Rap is like the most tasteful one because it just starts off the album with like a minute-ish long sample. And then it's like beef rap, beep, 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 like just super. It's like evil, and you just feel. It
Mhm.
reminds me of uh what's that? Who Shot You by Biggie,
Mm.
Yeah,
like
the
it just
piano.
yeah, when you listen to Who Shot You and you listen to beef rap, you just want to strut down the street like a badass. It's like, yeah, I wish someone would try to rob my wallet right now. I'll kill a man with my bare hands. Like, and it's
Yeah.
like you're listening to a song that had a minute and a half intro of fucking Fantastic Four from 1966. Anyway, number two for me, Jake just talked about the song Potholders. It was on, I did a little promo on my personal Instagram story today, and used that song and was like, hey, episode 106. Just the guitar, that super simplistic. It's just disgusting. And the number one for me has always been my favorite song off this album. It's going to be hard to knock it off. Vomit Spit. And it's honestly probably in my top five favorite Doom tracks of all time.
Hell yeah. This is a fun album for me to pick my top threes because there's a lot of good tracks on here that stood out. And I was just like, man, narrowing it down this morning was fun. But for me, my honorable mention would be Potholders. Just catchy, flows well, great track. And then 3, 2, 1, Rap Snitch, Knishes. Yeah, that's one of my favorite tracks. I like Mr. Fantastic doing his thing on that one. Second track, Deep Fried Friends, for that sample we were all talking about a minute ago. And just a cool flow. Just kind of goes back and forth with that melody going on and that sample. And then my favorite track was Cookies. Stood out for me, just the way the whole song was lyrically and musically. It's a great track.
It's a great one to wrap it all up in. You know,
Mm.
a lot of albums leave you wanting more with their last track, and Cookies kind of puts a good bow on it. So pretty cool that both of that or that song was in both of y'all's top threes. But anyway, that was 2004's Food by MF Doom. Easily one of the greatest rap albums of all time. Easily one of the greatest albums that came out in 2004, by far. And like I said, one of the reasons why I love 2000 to 2010 as a music timeline so much. But anyway, that was Jake's pick for this week, this episode 106 of What You Spinnin'. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and hey, look at that, that's Jake. We'll be right back to let you know what's coming in about a month because we're going to take a bit of a hiatus again. But stick around for us. You're going to like it. Peace. What's up? How you doing? It's What You Spinnin'. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. It's time for us to wrap up this episode and bring you the information, the intel, the secret code to what's coming in about a month's time. We go in the order that we talked about the albums today, so this is always a fun part for the three of us because we kind of have to play defense sometimes. I'm particularly worried because I have a pick that I'm for sure bringing up, and if Matt fucks me, I'm fucked. So Matt, why don't you kick us off?
No. Yeah, this is somebody that I don't think anybody's listened to. I haven't.
Hell
It's an
yeah.
artist I stumbled upon. You know how me, I hear an artist and then I gotta bring him up right away. But for me, I wanted to find something new and loud and like different that was released within the last 6 months or so. But this came out in September of last year. The album's called Tomorrow We Escape. Uh, and the artist is called Horror, Horror, but it's spelled Ho9909.
Oh,
And it's like Machine Girl meets hip hop meets Black Flag. Like it's all over the place, but I feel like it's something that we would bring up and play
yeah.
for.
I've
So
seen them on I've seen that group on festival lineups. Like Not Fest back when that was a thing. They've been on all sorts of lineups I've seen and I've never listened to them, so I'm really excited to dive into that.
sweet.
And since Matt's I mean, it doesn't matter what Matt brought up, I'm still going to bring this up. Uh I'm going with something familiar. You know, I'm kind of jealous. Everyone else has brought up an album or multiple by this artist, and you know what? It's fucking my turn. And I know that we talk about this artist a lot, and I quite frankly do not give a fuck anymore. Maybe this will be like 10, 15 episodes before we talk about him again. But I'm going Hiding Places by Billy Woods. I have to. I got one of my friends into this album this week, and because he's like, "Hey, send me some music recs," and I sent him Crawl Space or Houthi, I can't remember, and then I went and spun this album, and I was like, "Oh, holy shit! Like this is undeniably, I gotta bring this up." So, Hiding Places, Billy Woods, Kenny Siegel.
Wow. Wow. Good job.
Wow. I think we should
It's
extend the break of the next time we pod just so I can hear these albums more. 'Cause I like where this is going.
yeah,
Um, Mine, we brought up this album. Sorry, we brought up this artist before. It's kind of similar to some other works that were going on in this time for this artist, but it's came out in 1972. It's Herbie Hancock, Crossings.
Very nice.
Um, it's 45 minutes long. It's three tracks. So top threes
You have to love the
will
whole
be
album.
interesting. Yeah.
hell
But
yeah,
yeah,
Awesome.
some good old Herb. Ooh, and when did you say that was released?
72.
72.
So
Oh,
like a
right
couple
before.
right before Headhunters. Yep.
Yeah, man. Right before he formed Headhunters and that album and Thrust. Man, that's gonna be cool to get into. So we've got Herbie Hancock's Crossings released in 1972, Hiding Places by Billy Woods, which I believe is 2019. And then what's the name of your album again? I just did Tomorrow dot dot dot.
Tomorrow We Escape.
Tomorrow We Escape by Horror,
Yes.
aka HO99099 or oh
Mhm.
09. Um, when was that released?
2025, September of 2025. Yeah.
Sweet. Alrighty. Well, that's going to be a fucking banger of an episode, just like this one was. This was episode 106 of What You Spinnin'. Still cannot believe that we're still doing this 100 episodes in. I have a lot of juice left in the tank. I don't know about y'all. Um, yeah,
Can't
man.
stop, won't stop, keep going.
Can't stop, won't stop. I love the fuck out of both of these cats. Let me tell you. But for you viewers at home, shit is getting absolutely fucking sideways. So please, for the love of God, stay safe out there. Be nice to your neighbors, your local grocers, anybody that you run into. Go see live local music. Truffle Jam. My buddies are they have a pretty stacked May into June schedule, so follow them on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at Dorian Dilly and our personal or our podcast page at Whatchu Spinnin. Um, Go to Moonrock Records. Shout out to Callie. If you see a short redhead with bangs in there, that's Callie. Say that we sent you. She probably won't give you a discount, but she'll at least be like, I fucking love all three of those guys. How are they doing? Let her know we're doing all right. But anyway, I'm Dorian. That's Matt, and that's Jake. Go ahead and tell your friends about us. We're fucking everywhere that you find podcasts: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, your mom and pop podcast network, whatever the fuck. But yeah, go ahead and give us a follow. Shoot us a DM, whatever. If you want some good music recs, take it easy. We'll see you in about a month. Much love from all of us. It's What You Spinning, episode 106. Peace.